everybody. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. This is the show where comedy meets sports. We have a discussion all day about sports. And what we do is we bring in some comedians to have some conversations with us. Today's topics is definitely going to be some hot topics to talk about. Can't wait to jump into that. But first, let's jump into introducing you guys to the comedians who've been known from all over the world. And these guys, hey, you know them by face, you know them by name. And if you love comedy, you definitely know them. First up is my man, Talent, who's been in the business for 30 plus years, who's even celebrating his 30-year anniversary in a couple of weeks. Talent, how you doing, brother? How's everything?
I'm good until I seen that uniform you got on. I don't know how I feel about that.
Which one? This one? You mean this one?
The hat, the jersey, the whole. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's NFL Day. That's the reason why I did it. Plus, I got to wash clothes, so you know.
Good point.
But we bring about man Fig. Fig, how you doing, brother? How's everything?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Hey, Talent, Frank got on the cleats. You just can't see him.
Yeah.
He felt.
I even got on the underoos, but let's not go there too much. Next up is my man. I call one of the sports connoisseurs in the business, Mr. Amir Sealy. Man, how you doing, brother? How's everything?
I'm good. Salute, gentlemen, and happy belated Father's Day and all that good stuff, and happy Juneteenth. Good to see all of y'all.
Yeah. Good to see you too. Let's jump into the COVID report, man. Yesterday, first thing I talked about was how it seemed like the Olympics flipped the script. I'm not going to even have you guys build an opinion on that because we have so much to talk about today. But I'll just say this as the COVID report because I like to do it every day and say that Japan has now eased up the requirements on all things associated with the Olympics and COVID. And we've talked about that for so many weeks. All I can say, I'm going to leave it at this and say, when the athletes come back, I'm sure we're going to see a rise in people who caught disease and everything else. But let's jump into the hottest topic that everybody's talking about right now, man. Talent. An NFL player came out, active NFL player named Carl Nassib. He came out, plays for the Oakland Raiders, just signed a huge contract, came out as gay. He did it on his Instagram yesterday and everything else. What's your thoughts on this? And I'll tell everybody my thoughts after you. What's your thoughts on the NFL active player coming out as gay?
When I see stuff like this, I always think of it as like publicity stunts and, statements and stuff like that. The bigger question that I have is, what is the NFL going to do? Because they pick when they want to be strict on certain things. You take a knee, that shut the whole league down. You know what I mean? An active player comes out gay, is that going to be a locker room issue? You know what I mean? Are they going to, have some sort of protocol that comes after this? It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I wasn't that shocked, because knowing, former players and everything, it's a lot of that around. You know what I mean? I mean, people may not broadcast it or have a podium in front of them, but it's people who like what they like, and it's cool.
Yeah. Great point. Fake, what's your thoughts?
I always lean to the side why I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, but I never understood why people needed to come out. Like that's one thing that I'm confused about, and I don't understand it. I don't discriminate or anything like that. It's just something that confuses me. Like because as far as I'm concerned, gay is what you do in behind closed doors, because it's a sexual thing. So why are you telling somebody what you do in the confines of your own home or, in your bedroom? I don't understand it, but maybe it's something that I need to be more educated on. As far as I'm concerned, if you're playing football, as long as you're not the quarterback, we all right.
Or the tight end, ain't that right? Amir, what's your thoughts?
Again, to both Talent and Fig's points, again, having been around the NBA for as long as I, was with my brother and, just being around the entertainment industry in general, you tend to find out or, hear things or whatever the case may be. The reality of it all to me is, again, this shouldn't technically be news, but unfortunately, with the world and the way, we tend to take our ideologies and make them be the broad, put a broad stroke on it and say everybody should think like we think. I think it's unfortunate that in 2021 we still have to have the first of anything. I don't care if it's this particular situation or some of the other ones that we keep seeing. This is the first of, and I'm like, why are we still having first? Why can't we just be having, you know what, such and such is qualified, they enjoy what they're doing, we enjoy the fact that they enjoy it, and everybody, get along and enjoy their life. So
Wait a minute. Did Amir say broad strokes?
And he said the player was a wide receiver.
Wide receiver, tight end. I mean, listen, we changing positions here.
Let me throw my opinion in here. I'm gonna say this, man. For the record, and I always put my stuff on the record so y'all can say I said it. I don't care, and I don't think anybody should care who you have sex with. All we care about is how you played the game. That's the way I've always felt. Right. I don't care who you have, because when you do whatever you do at home, that's on you. But when you're doing something there during the game, when I'm watching, and you're a New England Patriot, that's all I care about. I care about my Patriots. I care about the game. I care about how you played. I don't care about what you're doing at home. So why is this news? I don't get it. I think it's more news. Maybe talent. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's more news for the press and the people who are NFL executives because they can't handle it. You know what I mean? Because I think the general public doesn't care, in my opinion. That's what I think.
Well, I think it becomes shocking news as an overall base because it's a manly sport, considered one of the top manly sports. So there's this big misconception that if you're gay, you're less manly. So it's big news if a boxer comes out. That's a gladiator sport. Boxer comes out, he's getting, oh my God, football is the next gladiator sport. Then you got stuff like, nobody would care if it's baseball or tennis or something like that. You know what I mean? But basketball, football, and definitely boxing or MMA is going to make your eyebrow go, oh, really? Like, wow, and don't let the person be good and actually play the game manly.
Right. Vic, don't you agree with him and me basically saying, like, we don't care at home? I think the press people care more than we care.
No, man, I don't think it's – look, I don't think anybody care unless you're a center and your quarterback comes out of the closet, you talk about he's gay. You know what I mean? Because that's a touchy situation. Did you imagine Peyton Manning if he came out and gay talk about Omaha? No, but honestly, man, at the end of the day, it's really about, like you said, Frank, it's really about how you play the game. I mean, we could joke and it's really a silly jokes, and hopefully that no gay person will take offense because none is intended. Whether you male or female and gay, heterosexual, transsexual, whatever, however you live your life, you should be able to do that without being persecuted by anyone outside simply because of you made a choice how you want to live your life. And as an African-American person, we should be more sensitive to people being discriminated against, more so probably than anybody else in this nation. So although I do make, light jokes, certainly I'm all for equality and everybody being able to live their life, you know what I mean, with to pursue the happiness, freedom, and liberty, and however you want to live your life without any judgment.
Amir, what's your thoughts? Do you think the press cares more about it than the actual average fan? Because I think honestly the press and the executives, so to speak, I think they care more about it than we do. What you think?
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, again, you got to look at it for what it is. In the current climate we're in, and the way the world is shaped up right now, obviously the LBTQ, XC, all of those letters, community. If I mispronounced it, please forgive me. I'm not really trying to make light of it, but that community is has a very big platform at this particular time, and thankfully they're able to now get some things done under that umbrella while the world is paying attention and while they have everybody's attention. So I think that the NFL, fortunately, unfortunately, and this gentleman in particular took a moment to allow themselves to, fly in under that radar and put themselves in a position that will make the NFL look good. Also, it'll, give that community an opportunity to now embrace football possibly a little bit stronger than they have in the past. So it's probably a win-win, like you said, for the execs and for the NFL, much more so than your average fan.
I can't wait to see the upcoming season because you imagine when the Raiders are traveling, the amount of fans in the stands, the signs that are going to be in the stands. Can you imagine? Oh my God! I mean, it's gonna be something. But anyway, let me switch gears, man. Story right here I found rather amusing, even though it's not funny to the person playing. Here's the story, talent. The World Series MVP, Ben Zobrist, right? He's suing his pastor because his pastor had an affair with his wife and stole his money. I don't know if you heard about that story. So not only did he have an affair with his wife, he stole $6 million from the charity. Now get this, the picture, right? He set up the charity and put the pastor in charge of the charity. So the man not only stole his wife, stole his money too. Now, it's comical, but I'm sorry to laugh at the dude, but because I know he's really mad right now. But he stole $6 million of his money, man. It's ridiculous.
Wow. It is funny. Listen, man, you got to pay to play. It's a hefty price, Frank, but they say you got to pay to play. You know what I hate about that story? Like, all jokes aside, what bothers me is when any person of the faith of the cloth does despicable stuff. That's a pet peeve of mine, because you're held to probably the highest human standard, being a man or a woman of God, and you're preaching and have a following or a flock, if you will, and you're just as despicable as a pauper in the corner. I think that's disgusting. And if I put myself in his shoes, I don't know what I'm more mad at. That you tapped my wife, or that you just a thief, and stole this money from a charity or whatever it is that I set up to do good. I don't know, man. I had some girlfriends that I'd be more mad at the money. I probably had one or two girlfriends I'd be more mad at the girl. But you're a man of the cloth. That's despicable, bro. Notice how Talent said his girlfriends, because he ain't even married. He got a couple of girls. Y'all notice that I didn't want that to slide by. Because he got a stable. Now, Fig. A plethora. Okay. My bad. A plethora. My bad. Fig, what's more despicable, the money or the fact being that, because you really don't hear wives who are wives of husbands who are professional athletes, you very rarely hear that they cheat. Matter of fact, I can't remember the last time I heard a wife of a professional athlete cheat on him. I mean, wow. And then she cheated on him with a pastor, and pastors are traditionally broke. Well, not this one, because he took his money, but he got $6 million of his money. Well, Fig, what's your thoughts on this, Fig?
Well, to me, man, it's two different things. It's like pouring salt in a wound and adding insult to injury. One is a crime. You stealing somebody's money, that's illegal. That's a crime. Something by which you should go to jail. And one is just morally wrong. But here's the thing. I know as a married man, I'm going to sound a little crazy with this analogy, but if my wife cheats on me, am I more upset with the guy, or I'm more upset with her? Because she's the one who really has ties to me and should be loyal to me. Like I mean the other person involved, they don't have no loyalty towards me. So I'm wondering, man, I'm just like, yo, I definitely want my money back. And the fact that you a pastor, there's where I differ too. I know that society holds pastors, ministers, preachers, whatever, to a higher standard, but I believe that I'm involved enough to know that even though you may be anointed to preach or to share the word, when you come off the pulpit or off the stage, you have to live your life just like every other human being, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what you are. And you're susceptible to all of the faults and everything else that the rest of us are. So you don't get no pass on that one.
Well, Fig, let me help you answer the question. As the great Woody Harrelson said, and Ed, men out of gas and women out of brakes. So I hope that settled that fight for you, because that's you know what I mean. It takes, the man is always going to come. The woman is the
exactly.
one. You know what I mean. Hold up. So, man, what you think? Do you agree with Fig?
Well, first of all, it appears we got Pippen in the pulpit, so that's a whole fun thing all by itself. But to be fair, because I heard you mention that you very rarely hear of women cheating on athletes. That's actually a lot more common than you can honestly know. But again, I know inside stuff. But beyond that, what you see here is professional sports and entertainment in general always have a weird duality to it in this regard. When you're an athlete, obviously you have a tremendous following, and you have tremendous presence. In having those two things, it comes with power and responsibility. Sometimes athletes and entertainers are able to weather that power and responsibility, and sometimes they're not. And usually what ends up happening, especially in the case of a woman stepping out, she's just had enough, because women will ride with you until the wheels fall off, until they've had enough. And then when they've had enough, it is what it is. So I think that, there's some duality there. There's probably a lot of stuff that we're not, totally aware of, and as to why this, thing happened. But it's unfortunate that on top of it, not only did you take the woman, but you took the dude's money too. So personally, I probably would be on Sports Center for a whole different set of reasons, but that's me speaking for me. That's a whole nother
yes, sir.
situation.
I'll say this too. I mean, you trying to open up the door to us having a whole Phil Donahue type of conversation about women and love and cheating and all that other stuff, because we can talk about that forever and a day. You already know that. But we only got an hour, so let me keep the show moving along. Talent. The next story up, man, is and this is probably going to shock you, but I read this morning, I think it was on Bleacher Report, that the Globetrotters are petitioning the NBA because they want to become an official NBA franchise, because they feel there's so much street ball in the game now that they feel that they should be allowed to be a franchise, and they want to find a billionaire to back them so they can become an NBA franchise. Now, when you hear that the Globetrotters are trying to become an NBA franchise and they're real serious about this, that they're going through all the steps to doing that, what's your thoughts about the Globetrotters being an NBA franchise?
I mean, it's not that far-fetched, believe it or not. I grew up on the Globetrotters. I watched them definitely over 20-some plus years. A lot of their players are really, semi-pro athletes who didn't make the league or was briefly in the league, or D1, kids. They were actually, when they get to the Globetrotters, they have to learn the trick part of the game, but they're actually ball players. They're actually high-level ball players. So it's not that far-fetched. The problem is you've been entertaining for so long that no one takes you serious. So when you do that, it changes the game. It's like, a clown running for the president.
That happened, though. But that happened, though.
I know. And it worked.
Yeah, exactly. It happened. But here's the thing, Fig. I think the fundamentals have gone so far from the game that it's easier acceptable now for the Globetrotters to be an NBA franchise. That's what I'm thinking. So what's your thoughts on that part?
Well, actually, I believe that the Globetrotters are fundamentally sound, because, to tell you the truth, before you can do tricks, you have to have the fundamentals down. You know what I mean? You can't just do tricks without knowing the fundamentals. And a little piece of history that years ago, when people were making fun of the Globetrotters and saying that they wasn't real players and, they're making a mockery of the game, there was a instance where they actually had to go and play some NBA teams, like in a real game with officials and stuff like that. And you would never guess who won. The Harlem Globetrotters. Because I think it was back in the day, the Globetrotters because they're the Harlem Globetrotters, they were a black team. And, the NBA was predominantly Caucasian, and they had to play up against those players. And the Globetrotters won because they had skills. These are skilled basketball players. And when you think about a player like Kyrie Irving, it seems like he brought a piece of street ball to the NBA, which is acceptable and palatable. And he's probably one of the best point guards. Hands down, one of the best point guards in the game, and has one of the best handles in the game.
Yeah, if not the best handle in the game. Amir, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because your brother played in the NBA, And since your brother played, the times have changed dramatically since he played to now. I think it'd be more acceptable for the NBA to allow a team such as the Globetrotters to play in the game versus when your brother played. But your thoughts? What you think, man?
You know, it's so funny. You're absolutely right. The real fun part about it is I know some guys who actually came up with my brother who were Globetrotters, quite a few actually, who were in the same age range and, had come up high school basketball at the same time he did. So to Talent's point, he's right. These are guys that have been D1 players, played in prominent, colleges and things like that. So, you're not looking at a group of guys who are just going to be out there, like you said, just clowning around. Yes, that's what they do at this particular juncture because that's a part of their entertainment. And that's part of what they do as far as, where they are now. But once they get these guys would definitely be a situation where you would see all of these guys officially be able to play with the best of them. So I think that it'd be great. My only thing is I'm just trying to figure out what city would adopt them and who would they represent.
Right, that's a great point. But there are cities out there like right now that need the NBA team, and the smartest thing would be for Seattle. You know what I mean? If it was to even be considered, the smartest thing would be for Seattle because they're already NBA ready. You know what I mean? They already got the arena, they already got the fans, they're already ready. It'd be the Seattle Globetrotters, I think. But okay, we'll see what happens. Next up, man, I got to talk to you guys about this one because this is one. You're gonna have to file this under the dumbest. And the dumbest player of the year award goes to, and then you hand out the award. Now, Kansas City Chiefs edge rusher Frank Clark got arrested in LA Sunday night because when he got pulled over for speeding, the police pulled him over and they looked in his back seat and they saw an Uzi hanging out of his bag. Now, mind you, he got arrested 3 months prior on gun charges. Now, not only did he have previous gun charges, he had an Uzi. And then he said, you know what? This was an excuse. The Uzi, and I keep saying Uzi, the Uzi was my bodyguard. He's sitting right here next to me. Which, of course, to come to find out, the guy sitting next to him wasn't even his bodyguard. But that's another story. So, I mean, we keep hearing about this stuff like this and everything else, but I think this dude right here, he's put Kansas City in a serious position because he's one of their best defensive linemen on the line. You know what I mean? He's 28 years old. He's an NFL player. Talent, when you hear about this, man, Dumb Year Award winner, what you think?
CTE is real. CTE has just went to the next level. Uzi in the back seat. Come on, fam. Man. Yes, dumbest player by far. Anytime, again, like I said with the pastor, anytime you are put on a higher standard, like, it's funny. It's not hard to be regular and don't do nothing crazy. It's not hard.
Right.
Just don't do nothing crazy. Uzi, you know how many times you had to touch that Uzi to say, "Damn, it's a Uzi." You had to take it out the box, like clean it off, put it in the back. And CTE is real, so he probably put a seatbelt on it. But it's an Uzi. I think that we got to give him the dumb player of the year, if not the decade. Look, what if we go 9 more years and nobody did this stupid? Then he's the winner of the decade. Yeah. Dumbass. And it happened. You know what makes it worse is that you mentioned that it's KC. You get a team, a Super Bowl championship team that is like just riding high. Even though they lost the last one, they got there again, back. You know what I mean? Like, they're riding high. You got Mahomes. You got all these things happening. Star players. The city's rocking. And you got an Uzi in the back seat. Like you dropping off a toddler to pre-daycare. Shame on it.
Bro, I'm 100% with you. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to throw it to you, Fig. Here's the thing. The first person I thought of when I heard about this was your wide receiver who used to play for the Giants, and he shot himself in the leg.
Plexico Burress.
Yeah. When I thought of that, I was like, okay. And Plexico Burress I think he even had to serve some time, if I'm correct or not. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. In New York, if you got an illegal gun, you're going to do some time.
Yeah. Now, here's another thing. I think Frank Gore has this Uzi, which of course is illegal. I think he's going to have to do some time over this too. Now, will he do some time before the NFL season happens or not? I don't know. But Fig, what's your thoughts on this? Dumb Year Award winner or what?
You know what? I have a few questions before I give him the dumb athlete of the year because in some states you can have a weapon like that. In some states, now is Kansas City one? That's something that I'm not familiar with. I'm imagining.
I don't think you could have a Uzi in any state. I don't know. You might be right. I don't think you could have an Uzi in any state. But I'll let you finish. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you'd be surprised. You can have some AK-47, some a lot of different weapons that you can carry. That you can have in certain states. Is Kansas City one? Not really sure. Did he have a gun permit? Is he able to carry? Like a lot of those questions go along with this. But here's the thing, Frank. I didn't hear this on ESPN and FS1. So my question is, because this guy's an NFL player and because he's, high profile, do you have a rug and a broom? Because it seems like this is one of them stories that could get swept up under the rug. We hear about it today and no place else.
Now, I heard about it on ESPN this morning, so I think you just
did you?
Yeah, I saw.
Wow.
That's how I found it. I saw it this morning. I did some more digging. I saw it this morning. Matter of fact, at the 12 o'clock news, it was one of their leading stories because it's a serious charge. They're getting ready to seriously see if they're going to stick to this dude's grill. Amir, what you think about this, man? I mean, dumb year award winner, what? I mean, he literally is possibly facing some serious jail time with an Uzi in his backseat of his car. What you think, Amir?
Now, if my memory serves correctly, I think you said something about this happening in LA. So my only question about that is, sir, what club were you possibly going into in LA? Look, I've been in LA, quite a bit, and I know that there are definitely certain spaces and places that you just can't go and you're not supposed to be. But you know that going in. So I'm just trying to figure out, sir, with all of that knowledge, and you being a football player, you have to know that there are just things that you cannot do. I don't care how big a football player you are. I don't care how strong you think you are. That is just the golden rule for LA. So that's my question with this whole thing. But yes, Dummy of the Year award and beyond, because look, first and foremost, like you said, you're on a championship team. There's the possibility of you actually going back again this year. God, provided everybody stays healthy. And the biggest thing is, why would you put yourself in that kind of position? If you got to carry a gun anywhere, to me, it doesn't make sense that you go there. So that is the biggest question. Like, sir, if you got to find yourself in places where you need that kind of, firepower, you probably need to avoid that. Starbucks is where you need to hang out.
Well, in his defense, Frank, it's not all the way his fault. Come to find out, he ordered a floozy to be in the back seat. And he was going to a club and he wanted a flute.
Hey, Talent. Hey, you know what? You know who made that mistake? He ordered that from Wish.
I'm sorry, I don't understand none of y'all because when I grew up, a floozy was a female who was half dressed. That, you know what I mean? That's what I.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You don't understand it? That's the whole joke.
I get it. I guess I missed that joke.
You know what? Turn down your jersey.
Okay, hold on.
Turn it down a little.
All right, let me jump on the next story, man. The next hot story for me was I saw the roster this morning, and then a couple other people jumped in on the roster report. The roster report is of who is joining the Olympics roster for the professional basketball team. And some of these names are going to surprise you because I just heard just now that Chris Middleton just joined with Kevin Love, and Kevin Durant is also on the roster. He's joining James Harden, Damian Lillard, Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Draymond Green, and Jason Tatum. That's the roster right now. They asked LeBron, they asked AD, and they asked Steph, and all three of those guys decided to sit out. So I like this roster right now that they're putting together for the Olympics. I don't know who's going to be the coach right now because usually, unless Coach K is going to be the coach for his last year. But I like the roster, what's going on with the Olympics. I mean, I don't know what dream team number they are, but this is a nice team right here they're putting together. What you think, Count?
Yeah, you know what? They usually always put together a pretty good roster. You can't really. I think it was one time it was kind of floozy-ish. It was one time, but other than that, it's always been a pretty decent roster. The problem is always like when they didn't win gold, that had a lot to do with egos and coaching.
Mhm.
You know, it wasn't that they had a bad roster or a less than perfect roster. They usually do a great job of putting together the Olympic roster, but I think that the coaching is imperative, and I think the mindset is imperative. Like I'm glad that a guy like Steph Curry and the AD go, nah, I'm a pass, because those guys were injury prone and they didn't want the extra wear and tear. They're trying to get right for the league that they actually play in. So I respect that decision.
Which is funny you say injury prone and everything else because Fig, Kevin Durant and James Harden have agreed to be in the Olympics. And just like what Talon said, injury prone and age has a lot to do with it. So why they agreed to even be on the roster, especially after the run that they just had, it baffles me. What's your thoughts on this one, Fig?
Listen, I view Kevin Durant as a dude where even in the off season, he may take a couple of weeks off or something like that. But Kevin Durant is going to find a basketball gym somewhere. He's going to play. He's one of those dudes that loves the game to the point where he'll probably play in the park. Like I can see Kevin Durant in the Rucker. You know what I mean? Kevin Durant just loves that. And believe it or not, I don't see these guys as injury prone. Like, Kevin Durant had the Achilles thing, but prior to that, there was really nothing. James Harden either. If you say Kyrie Irving, like Talon says, Steph Curry, AD, Joel Embiid, like these guys are habitually injured, and consistently injured every single year. It seems like at some point. James Harden, not too much. Kevin Durant, not too much. So I'm not surprised because of the way that these cats love the game, and it also gives them an opportunity to build chemistry going into the next season. They're gonna play anyway. The thing is, where are you gonna play? And I think the Olympics is a safer environment than in a local gym or the park.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with everything Fig said, even though everything he said, Fig makes sense, Amir. But if I'm them, I'm getting Trae Young. I'm getting the younger stars and everything else. I'm not getting the older stars to play, especially like Trae Young and maybe that guy from the Knicks roster who was MVP. Maybe Zion. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I'll tell you this though, to his to add on to what he said about you see KD playing in the Rucker. He does play in the Rucker.
No,
like
I know.
his whole career, he goes down there, pops out the SUV, laced up the sneakers, and he balls with those cats out there to show that he got real ball skill, which is, I think that's so dope. Like, you know what I mean? It's the Boston Comedy Club, Fig. When we're in there having fun, and Chappelle says, "Give me 10 minutes." Yeah. Chris Rock says, "We get 15."
No
you
doubt.
Know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what it's like. Amir, what's your thoughts on this, man?
It's so funny. Actually, to Talon's point about Kevin Durant showing up. The real story for Kevin Durant is he actually came. He didn't even come in an SUV. He took the train up. He took the bus from D.C. and took the train and came into the park on some regular shit. He had a hoodie on and his backpack and just walked in the park and then gave him 53 or some craziness like that.
Wow.
But to your point, he's a basketball player. The one thing that we probably, like you said, don't give him and certain other guys enough credit about is they really love the game. Yes, they love to be, or want to be world champions, as some people say. But more so than anything, I think they like competing. And I think maybe because they didn't get an opportunity to do what they had hoped to do this year with the NBA Finals. A gold medal is not a bad thing for you to end up having, as far as your career is concerned. So, to have an opportunity to go and play with this generation or be in this generation and etch your name, on a gold medal is a heck of a thing. To your point, Frank, about the younger players having the opportunity to go, some of these other guys are locked and loaded right now in the spaces that they're in. Trae Young and Booker, and or at least Trae Young, maybe he's just a little more locked and loaded in what he has ahead of him. So who knows? Maybe down the line he may still decide to go out there and give it a shot as well. But I think that it's great that these young men are taking the time to go out there and represent the country as well as represent themselves. So I love it.
All right. Now let me just bring up the next subject, man. Is this morning, you know how I am. I always do my research and everything else. And we talked about Ben Simmons and everything else. And I want to circle back to something I heard this morning about Ben Simmons. But talent, I also heard this morning that the Lakers are already asking people who's interested in Kyle Kuzma. You know what I mean? And I can see a Kyle Kuzma swap with Philly for Ben Simmons. I can see it all day because, like I said yesterday, Ben Simmons needs an OG in the game to help him, and obviously get along and to bring it along. And Ben Simmons cannot be the first two options, but in LA he'd be the third option, and I think be much better. But before we talk about that, do you think the Lakers should trade Kyle Kuzma? You know what I mean? Because they think he's the future. Well, at least they used to think he was the future. What's your thought on that, Talent?
Yeah, I think that changed. I think they need to get rid of him. But I don't see Ben Simmons going over there. I think, LeBron is, although he's a vet now and he can help some people play better, LeBron's a sore loser, man. And if that happened, let's just say hypothetically, that was the Lakers, and Ben Simmons was scoring number 2 behind LeBron, and he gave you 5 points. LeBron would have whooped his ass.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron would have made the news on some bullshit.
Yeah, he should have. Would have.
There'd have been like 2 NBA players in the VIP in the club in LA. One chokes the other one and cracks a Patron bottle over his head. Man, you know how so losing LeBron would. That's not a good look. Don't go there. Go somewhere else. You're right though about the OG. That ain't the OG to go to. Go where somebody gonna give you some leeway. You know what I mean? Like you said something before made sense. Like the Jimmy Butler thing makes sense. LeBron, man, it's certain people that messed up some of the playoff games in championship series that played with LeBron that he don't even speak to no more.
Yeah, that's true. But honestly, yesterday I said the Jimmy Butler thing, I think makes most sense because he already knows Jimmy Butler, Fig. And honestly, I think that's what they should really concentrate on if they're going to trade him. But him going, maybe you disagree, but him going to with LeBron at the Lakers and he's not the first 2 option, Ben Simmons is scared. You know what I mean? And they're going to trade Kyle Kuzma. They are going to trade. The Lakers are going to trade Kyle Kuzma. That's a fact. They already called some teams. So
Kyle Kuzma's name sounds like a nice new car, don't it? Like the Chevy Kuzma. the Ford Fusion Kuzma.
Yeah, but the problem is that you wouldn't be able to get it off the lot. It drive around. It would drive all around nice on the lot, but as soon as you pull it off, it would.
You're killing, Frank.
That's
killing
terrible.
I'm sorry. Y'all setting them up, man. I'm just knocking them down.
The Ben Simmons edition only go 5 miles.
The Ben Simmons edition look nice. It just don't start. It looks real nice in the show, but just don't start.
You do this great, man. You know what? The funny thing is, I see both of these players as very different, man. I was paying attention to some stuff today, man. First off, I think Kyle Kuzma's lack of usage is what's making him look so bad. I think if you put Kyle Kuzma on another team where the ball isn't dominated by LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think he's going to look a lot better because if he gets an opportunity to play more, I think he'll play better. If he gets a chance to handle the ball, I think Kyle Kuzma is going to be better. Now for Ben Simmons, somebody made this comparison and it blew my mind. Do you think that Ben Simmons could be the next coming of a Draymond Green? Because if you take Ben Simmons and you put him on Golden State Warriors with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry in a Draymond Green position, does that make him a superstar? Because at that point, he don't have to hit no shots. You know what I mean? He don't have to hit no threes. He don't have to score. He don't have to do nothing but play serious defense, bring the ball up, and pass it to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson where they need the ball or distribute the ball like he already does on the Sixers. I think what Ben Simmons' real problem is, other than not having the ability to shoot, is the fact that Joel Embiid is on that team and those two don't really play well together.
But let's not overlook the fact, Amir, that he did make some 2 great points. Imagine Kyle Kuzma on another team. And the first thing I thought of was Kyle Kuzma on the Sixers would be a much better player, and he would ball out, I think. But Amir, great point that Fig just said. Do you agree, disagree? Because if you do put Ben Simmons on the Golden State Warriors, everything Fig said would exactly happen, I think. Because, a lot of pressure on that kid. Pressure comes off on Golden State. Amir, what's your thoughts?
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey guys, look, my thing is I think that Ben Simmons is going to be a phenomenal player. I think the big thing for Ben Simmons is he has to get a jump shot. I don't care what y'all say. It's great that he can handle the ball and all that stuff, but now in this league, the way that it's set up, and especially when you look at, as we've been pointing out, throughout this entire playoffs, you need a mid-range game. He's too big to not have a goddamn mid-range game. He's supposed to be just down in the post killing people, but to be that tall and not be able to knock down a 15 to 17 footer, kill yourself. I mean that with all, what you call it. And the real deal for my man Ben Simmons and for Kyle Kuzma. Same thing for Kyle Kuzma. Look, Fig, to your point, he wasn't underutilized. You got one of the greatest passes in the game. If you move and find spots, LeBron finds ways to put you in spots to always be successful. Kyle Kuzma was out there looking like me, like if they drafted me and said, hey, man, come play with us, and I never played the game. Kyle Kuzma's been in the league too long to be looking like that, dog. I can't roll with that.
It's a way to become underused. He didn't start off being underused. He earned that. You know how you work your way to the bench? He was playing pretty bad and inconsistently, and that's how he started to play less minutes. I say the best team for Kyle Kuzma to go to is Detroit, best city. Go to Detroit. The Ford company's there, and you can get that new SUV. The
funny thing is, looking at Amir talk like that, he's like one of the NBA gods because he ain't moving, and all you hear is his voice.
I know that's hilarious, but you know what? Let me say this. You can be a good basketball player and not a good spot-up shooter. Let me tell you whose careers suffered as a spot-up shooter. Kevin Love, Chris Bosh, Kyle Kuzma. Some guys are just not spot-up shooters. Some guys need a little rhythm to their game in order to be impactful. Everybody's not a great spot-up shooter. Some guys, that's all they can do. You got a Ray Allen, he ain't got to touch the ball. You hand it to him, he can spot-up shoot. You give it to James Harden, a Kevin Durant, they can probably spot-up shoot with the best of them. Everybody can't do that. Some guys actually need to get that little rhythm, that little bounce to their game in order to be successful.
Amir, I need you to go out and come back in because you're frozen. So if you got to come out and come back right back in. I'll bring you right back up in there. That talent, I'm gonna throw it to you first, and I'm gonna ask you this next thing because we gotta switch the subject. Is I heard Stephen A. say something this morning that was really crazy to me, and everybody thought it was a great idea. Stephen A. said this morning that Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant. Now, I don't know whether or not you agree or disagree with that. Personally, I think Devin Booker is his own player. I don't think he needs any comparisons with Kobe Bryant because two different style of play. They both play well, but I don't like the comparison to Kobe. That's just my opinion. What you think about that?
Come on, Frank. It's Stephen A. Smith. If you look at his hairline, he's the next George Jefferson. I bet he won't like that.
What do you mean he's moving on up?
I think we got to stop doing that. That's a bad habit to me. Not just in sports, in everything in life. People are so busy trying to make their own way, and they're doing damage on their own right. And then we have this bad habit of, oh, he's the next this guy. And I think that takes away from who they are actually becoming. You're right. He's his own player. When I look at Devin Booker play, I don't see no Kobe. You know what I mean? I understood why people said it about Kobe comparing it to Jordan because he mimicked all his moves. He trademarked a lot of stuff he did after you literally somebody put a video together with them side by side. Right. And it was literally the same thing. So I could see people go, oh, it's just like that. But for the most part, we make that mistake all the time. This guy's the next that guy. This guy's the next. How about they themselves? How about, Chris Paul is Chris Paul and not the next Magic Johnson?
I'm with you on that one. Fig, what you think?
I listen, man. I agree with talent 100%, man. I love this kid, Devin Booker. I think he's all world as a basketball player, a scorer. I think he's coming into his own. But he's not Kobe, man. I mean, what Kobe made all defense 9 times, maybe. You know, first team all defense. Devin Booker's not that lockdown defender. Kobe was a high flyer when he was young. I don't see that in Devin Booker. Devin Booker is a gifted scorer. He's definitely coming. He's a superstar right now. And I love the kid, but I'd like to see him on his own, because you only set up for failure if you're compared to somebody like Kobe Bryant. It's the same thing that a lot of people did to LeBron James. Oh, he's the next Michael Jordan. Like, stop it. Can this dude just be great on his own? Like Talent said, can LeBron James stand alone? Can Devin Booker stand alone? As soon as you start comparing them, now you know they start losing points and credibility as great players.
Amir, do you like the comparison, and do you agree with the comparison, or you disagree? What's your thought?
I tend to agree with both of them. I've always said the same thing. I don't agree that we should compare anybody to anybody else. I think everybody is the first to themselves. I think one of the unfortunate caveats for conversation and for us to, really be able to, quote unquote, just make things, argument, for argument's sake, we do that. But the reality of it all is all of these guys are great in their own right. He's early on in his career, but obviously there are signs there that he's going to be, one of the great, be great, if not one of the greats. But only time will tell, because we also have seen guys get off to great starts and then unfortunately have some sort of weird injury. And then, quote unquote, they don't live up to billing. So to me, like I said, I've never been that kind of person. And I just want to respond to one thing that Fig said a little earlier. Fig, to your point about spot-up shooters, I'm not requesting that these guys be spot-up shooters. What I said was, for Kyle Kuzma, for guys like Kevin Love and so forth and so on, these guys moved away from also utilizing themselves. A perfect person who, if they went back to the Lakers, would be an asset to that team right now. Remember the kid Ingram? I don't even know what team he's on now.
Brandon Ingram, he's in New Orleans.
Okay. If he went back to the Lakers now, he would be perfect because he's got a mid-range game. He can dribble. He can find his spot. Kyle Kuzma has been in the league long enough to be able to do that. The fact that he doesn't, that's on Kyle Kuzma. That's not on LeBron James. That's not on the team. You got to work yourself into situations where you go, you know what? I got guys who know how to do specific things. How do I utilize my skill set to get that done? I didn't want to, take up a whole thing.
Can I ask one question, Amir? Did Kyle Kuzma got better once Brandon Ingram really developed more once he left, right?
He did, but Brandon Ingram had those highlights even when he was there. You could see that was going to be part of his game.
All right, let me ask this last question. I want to get this last question in, and I'm going to start with you, Talon, and get it around. I also heard this morning something I thought was ridiculous, and maybe it's just me. I heard that Ben Simmons is shooting with his wrong hand because he's ambidextrous, and people are saying that. And it was a hot topic this morning on several shows this morning, as I could hear it in the background, that he's shooting with his wrong hand. He'd be better off shooting with his left hand because he's ambidextrous, and that he should start learning how to shoot with his left hand. Talent, you agree or disagree with the fact that the NBA so-called talking heads, pro/experts, ex-NBA players are saying that he shoots with his wrong hand? What you think, Talent?
First of all, that's asinine and it's hypocritical. Like, if you're ambidextrous, there's no wrong hand.
Right.
That's the whole meaning of ambidextrous. You use both hands. Like, so there's no wrong hand there. So, I mean, you as a player, I'm sure he's going with what's comfortable. This guy's a professional basketball player. I'm sure he's not getting out there, let me try this other hand. No, I'm sure he's going with the hand that he feels more comfortable and dominant, because even though you can use both hands, one feels more dominant to you. You know what I mean? And speaking of dominant, like, what are we going to say? Ben Simmons is the next who? You know what I mean? Nobody want to be the next nobody. You want to be who you are. Y'all wouldn't like it if a girl you was making love to told you about the last best dude she had, Raheem, used to knock the box out and be like, and you tear it up one night, she go, man, you might be the next Raheem.
Yeah, but you know what? The worst thing would be to hear that. The worst thing to be is that you hear that you're the next Talent.
Only if you know me.
That'd be the worst. That'd be the worst thing to hear. Fig, what you think?
Yo, man, he's kind of crazy. I think what they meant I don't think they meant ambidextrous. I thought they was talking about abnormal. That's what they was talking about when they were talking about Ben Simmons. Abnormal. That's what yo, man, it's ridiculous. I saw a video of Ben Simmons playing pickup basketball, and he was knocking down shots left and right. I mean, from the side, the baseline, the middle. I mean, he was putting up shots, and he didn't look like he had any problems. I think it's something about the team that he's on in Philadelphia, some kind of pressure or something where this kid is just not taking shots. And you know what? Here's a Pelican brief, Frank. Maybe Ben Simmons hates playing with Joel Embiid so much, he's sabotaging his game so he could get the hell out of Philadelphia. Because what I saw in a pickup game didn't look like nothing compared to the way he played in this playoff series. He looked like he could shoot just fine, like with no problems. I don't know what the problem is with him.
Amir, you get the last word. And honestly, Amir, you got 60 seconds. I agree with Fig in one aspect. It's the bright lights, bro. It's the bright lights. At the end of the day,
that's all I was going to say. That's what I was going to say, Frank. I think it's just the bright lights. Look, this is his first real playoffs. This is the first time the spotlight is truly on. And I said this on an earlier show. Sometimes these guys, you have to be prepared for that. And a lot of guys, it seems like they are, but then like I said, once those lights come on, a whole different situation, falls into place. So I think that's all that happened to him.
Yeah, because when you're in the gym, everybody knows when you're in the gym, there's only everybody playing on the court. There's usually nobody on the sideline. But when you're in the NBA court and there's 50,000 people and 5 million people watching at home, that's the difference.
Hey, Frank, just as we saw the difference and all these new names rise in the bubble, audience gone.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Audience gone. Everybody played a whole lot better.
With the exception of the Phoenix Suns, because they balled out in the bubble and God dog it, they carried over.
Yeah. But we're not talking about the guys who did good. We're talking about the guys who right now had the opportunity to do good and they didn't. And last year they did good where there was no fans because there was nobody sitting there. Nobody sitting there.
The Raheems of the world.
Yeah, there you go. Or the talents of the world. I'll leave you all with that, man. That's the last word, man. Talent to everybody out there how they can follow you real fast. And please tell everybody about that 30th anniversary, man. Let's holler at that.
Absolutely. And thank you for everybody who definitely tunes in and has been hitting the inboxes with information regarding July 30th weekend. It is 30 years, celebrating 30 years in the game of comedy and all the endeavors that go along with that. We have a entertainment star-studded weekend going down in Atlantic City. Get your tickets. You need to know more information? You can email me, talent@itsjustcomedy.com. Talent@itsjustcomedy.com, or any of my social medias. Hit me in the inbox. Box seats, baby.
There you go. Fig, hit him.
You can hit your boy Comedian Fig on social media platforms at Comedian Fig on the box seats Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. I want to thank Amir for doing this show while riding on the side of a moving train in a wind tunnel.
Amir, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
Hey, I'm down there at the bottom, A-Rock Sealy on Instagram, AROCKSEALY, and I'm Amir Sealy on everything else, Twitter, Facebook, anything else y'all can think of. That's me.
Amir, thank you for sitting in for Rodney Perry today. We really appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Everybody, that's Amir. That's Big. That's Talent. The show's called The Box Seats. The channel is on. It's called The Humor Mill. Thank you all for spreading the word. I want to appreciate all that. Thank you all for sharing all that. We'll be back tomorrow. You all know, same bat time. It's 1 o'clock. Same bat channel. It's right here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.